Hi everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. Today we're at Holmes Honda to see if we can answer the question, is the 2023 Honda Accord better than ever? This is the EXL hybrid version that we will be taking a look at today. It has an exterior color of Canyon River Blue. It has a black interior and obviously is fully redesigned for 2023. Now, one thing that's very interesting here is that unlike many hybrid model vehicles, you don't lose any cargo space. You have 16.7 cubic feet, whether you go with the hybrid version or the non-hybrid version. So let's dive into this model and see what it's all about. Taking a look from the front end, we'll start off with the newly redesigned headlight housing. Going to have LED daytime running lights. You can see the changes as far as the overall design of the headlight layout themselves go, and the blinker. Now you might notice that flickering effect. If you watch me regularly, I apologize, but I need to make this point. That flickering effect that you see is due to the shutter speed of the GoPro. It's a common GoPro problem. You can't actually make your vehicle do that. You do have the air curtains built in right here on the front end. And for those who may say those are not air curtains, well, here is where the air comes out. I don't know how well you can see that because it's a little overcast today, which is actually a good thing because it is warm outside. And the gloss black trim around the vehicle really sets things off, gives it a nice look. And one thing that hasn't changed, no all-wheel drive available, only front-wheel drive. Tell me what your thoughts are on that. Would you like to have an all-wheel drive Accord available? And tell me why, if that is something you would like. Let's talk tire and wheel size on this front-wheel drive model. We're going to have 225 on our width, a good bit of tread on the ground, a 50 series sidewall, and in this particular case, wrapped around the 17-inch wheels. Now you do have the power adjustable side view mirrors, body color with turn signals built in, and they are manually folding. And speaking of the vehicle itself, let's talk about what you have with the remote. There's what it looks like for 2023. It does come with a remote start on this trim level. And if you don't like gloss black, well, you do have a little bit of a chrome look with the trim around the top portion of the windows. By the way, that is a proximity key that we just looked at. So if you were curious about that, yes, it is. You do have capless fuel fill here. So the good thing is that when you lock the vehicle, it also locks the gas door right there. And coming around to the rear, gone are those stapler style or crab claw tail lights, as a lot of people refer to them, one or the other. The different design here sets things off. It definitely does not look anything like it did in the past, and you'll see you'll have more of that gloss black as far as the trim on the lower portion of the bumper goes. Our Accord logo and the hybrid logo right here. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier, in case anybody's wondering, yes, these are heated side view mirrors. And under the hood, the hybrid powertrain. It's going to be a combination of the 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder and the dual electric motors that are upgraded for 2023, more efficient, and supposed to give this Accord a sportier driving experience. Let's talk about horsepower and torque. 204 horsepower, torque numbers at 247, made it to an eCVT. And the advantage here over a traditional EV, a fully electric vehicle, is that as long as you have gas in the fuel tank, you don't ever have to worry about charge capacity because the motor basically charges up the batteries, keeps everything where it should be. But when it gets below a certain capacity, the gas engine does kick in. You can still drive down the road, so no matter what, you don't have to worry about issues with that, basically in the form of, do I have enough charge capacity to get where I need to go? And let's talk about those all-important MPGs. We have 51 city, 44 highway, 48 combined, and 2.1 gallons of gas is what Honda says you should use per every 100 miles you drive. And if you're wondering, why are those city and highway numbers basically flip-flopped from what you normally see on a vehicle? Well, because you're going to use the hybrid end of things, or excuse me, the electric end of things, more so in the city than you will out on the highway, and that's the reason for the change with those numbers. And we'll take our first in-depth look into the interior. What about rear seat passengers? What are they going to find? Well, if you put your arm up there, it feels a lot more comfortable with this armrest than it does if you press down on it like that. It's always a good test to just use it for what its intended purpose is. And you have the bottle holder here, or door bin, depending on what you want to call that. It's more suited for holding a large bottle, but you could put other things in there, or at least your rear seat passengers could. You can fold these rear seats flat to maximize cargo capacity. And there is the fold-down armrest with cup holders built in. We'll hop inside real quick here and take a look at what else we have. As far as dual air conditioning vents, we also have 2 connectivity options in the way of USB ports. 1 seat back pocket. I don't think that's that big of a deal for most people. Now, let's do this. Let's turn the camera around. I know I don't make appearances on cameras as much as I used to, but I need to here so I can show you how much headroom I have at 5'10". If you're over 5'10", well, you might want to sit in the front seat, especially if you're a passenger. The driver, well, obviously they're going to be in the front seat anyway. And for those who are wishing for a panoramic sunroof, it's not available. To me, that's not a big deal. Some people might think it is, but you do have the conventional size sunroof. And we'll take a look into the front seat through the passenger side door. A little bit larger armrest here, still going to be just as comfortable as what we had in the rear, and a little larger door bin. Power seats for the driver and the passenger, heated only. I would like to see the ventilated option be here, but it's not. But thankfully, it's not quite as hot as it's going to be later in the day at this moment. Now, you do have some gloss black trim across the dashboard. A very nice look, separated apart from the Honda Civic and other models, so it doesn't look identical. A little bit of a similar look, but not an identical look, so that helps. And then we'll open the glove box, plenty of space down there for whatever you need to put in that area of the vehicle. We're also going to have more USB connectivity here for the front seat, driver and passenger. Now, you don't have the wireless charging pad here, but obviously that is available if it's something you want. Good news for those of you who do not like the push button style shifters. That's not here. It's a conventional style shifter. I think that fits very well into the Accord. You can see that you have your drive mode selections here as far as what's going on with the vehicle, power parking brake, and brake hold mode, in addition to our cup holders. And a little bit more of that gloss black is going to be found around that area. And let's see here. I'm just testing out the armrest functionality of the lid on the center console, and for me personally, where I'm sitting right now, it seems to be at a good height. For some people, I'm not sure. You'll have to try that out for yourself and see, but that's what we have. It doesn't seem to be too low. That's a good thing. And then we have quite a bit of space here within the center console. There is a 12-volt power outlet right there, and the good thing about that is that it serves a lot of purposes. One of which could be the fact that there's seating for 3 people in the back seat area, but only 2 USB ports. You could use that as an adapter to create a 3rd USB option if so desired. Now we'll take a look into the driver's seat and see what the driver is going to find. Obviously, a few more options here in the way of controls for the side view mirrors and all 4 windows, all that good stuff. You also have seat memory here. In my personal opinion, and even though this isn't a super high-priced vehicle, there should be seat memory on the passenger side as well. But just my personal opinion on that. Tell me what you think. You can drop the lever right here to drop the lever right there to control the positioning of the steering wheel. It is tilt and telescopically adjustable. Let's listen. In case you were wondering what it sounds like when you get into the driver's seat, we'll hit the push button start right here and show the fully redesigned digital instrument cluster. A very nice look. When you turn the headlights on, you can see that that little Accord in the middle right there lights up and lets you know that your headlights are on. During the day, that could be helpful. But a very nice look one way or another with what we have here with the dashboard. It's going to give you a lot of information depending on what you need to see and know about. And we'll run through a little bit of that just to show you what is here. I'm not going to stop and look at every single feature, but just to show you what is here. Well, there you go. That works out well. You also have the digital speedometer. You also have the analog speedometer. 160 miles per hour on there. I don't know if that's achievable, probably not, but we're not going to find out today because I don't want to have a video where I get arrested for driving too fast. And right here on the steering wheel, these appear to be shifter paddles, but if you're not aware, actually what that is controlling regenerative braking. You can control it in either direction. You can add to it or decrease. And what that does is uses kinetic energy to keep the battery charged on the vehicle. A very nice system. Steering wheel mounted controls here. And we move on to one of what I think is one of the best changes here on the vehicle, the newly updated touchscreen here that has a nice simplistic feel to it. It's easy to learn, it's easy to use, but it looks modern at the same time. Wireless phone connectivity. You don't need a USB cable to connect your phone, so that's a good thing. You can use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. As you can see, I have paired my phone. If you want to use that option, you can obviously do that. We'll go home right here just so we can look around at everything else is here that is here. You also have the meter right here to let you know what's going on with the vehicle, but that's not the only way you can do that. You can also bring up the power flow meter right here or screen and have a little bit better look at everything. A very nice look overall with what's going on here. And how about general settings? Honda making some changes here, makes it look a little more modern in my opinion. You can go in and adjust quite a few different features, but I really like the vehicle settings because the graphics are better than I think they've ever been. I think this looks very nice and gives the Accord, again, that modern look and modern feel that I think some people were looking for. I'm curious to know what your feedback is on that as to whether or not Honda achieved that. And we'll go into reverse and take a look at the multi-view rear view camera. It is nice and clear, and as you can see, you have the sensors around on the vehicle. So that's going to help out with parking. We do have the multiple views here, and you can see how responsive that is to the touch of my hand. Dual zone climate control, or should I say the touch of my finger? Okay, that's right. I corrected myself so nobody else has to. Yeah, the touch of my hand. I'm using my finger on the screen, not the hand. That's okay to laugh at that. Like I said earlier, you only have heated seats, but we do have dual zone air conditioning here, dual zone climate control. That is helpful. Now, earlier, I showed you the mode selector. Let's look at the different driving modes that are here. We'll start with normal. We'll go into Econ. And we'll go back up to Sport. Now you can see that there is a lot here. Quite a bit going on. You can change things. This is a really neat setup as far as individual goes. I really like the way the graphic looks right there. Just something different. So a very enjoyable vehicle to drive, to learn. It's not that difficult. Even though it's fully redesigned, Honda has still kept things nice and simple. But one of my favorite things about this is the driving experience. Let's get out on the road and I'll tell you more about that. Okay, we're out on the road for the test drive, and I'll tell you what, these Accords are fun to drive. With the hybrid powertrain, it really does seem to give it a little bit more of a sporty driving experience, and you can still achieve some very solid gas mileage numbers, even driving at higher speeds. The road here has a speed limit of 55 miles per hour, so we'll get up to speed and just see how things go. While the Accord is not meant to be a high-performance vehicle by any means, it still handles well and has a nice sporty feel to it. It's very easy to maneuver, it handles well, and it has a good ride quality. It's not necessarily a Cadillac, but it's most certainly not a tank. So the ride quality is good, and I like the fact that you have a nice modern look as far as across the dashboard with the instrument cluster and the infotainment screen here. You can see that I have the power flow on the screen just to give you a little something extra to look at. But acceleration is good. In fact, one thing I'd like to try, let's just change driving modes while we're on the road. I'm just curious to see if I can feel some sort of a difference. We've gone into Econ mode. Let's go into normal. And now into Sport mode. I really can't feel a difference between those driving modes. Not that you're really necessarily intended to have an experience like that, but in case somebody was curious about that, well, now you know. Took that corner at about 60 miles per hour right there, and a really good handling experience. A little bit of body roll, but not bad. I didn't really push into the corner too hard. Not that I was trying to throw it into the corner at a high rate of speed or anything along those lines, but just trying to give you a good idea of how this car handles, how it drives. The one thing I like here, aside from the overall driving experience, is the fact that for those who may say, you know, it's time to trade in my 1990 Accord. It has 500,000 miles on it, or whatever you might have by this point. It might be more than that. I'm curious to know if you do have a high mileage Accord that's several years old, what is that number? But you're looking at this technology here and saying to yourself, wow, I've never had a vehicle with that kind of technology before. How hard is it to learn? How hard is it to use? It's not. Honda has some of the easiest to use technology in the industry. I do like the modern look. That doesn't mean that it's difficult to learn or use, so don't let that scare you off. But overall, I definitely have to give high marks to Honda for what they've done with these Accords. If you are going to buy a 2023 Honda Accord, tell me down in the comments section, do you want hybrid or non-hybrid? So tell me what your thoughts are down in the comments section. Is the 2023 Honda Accord better than ever? Tell me what your answer is and tell me why you answered the way that you did. I'm always curious to know. I have to say a special thanks to my friends here at Holmes Honda for loaning me this 2023 Accord EXL Hybrid for the day. And a special thanks to each and every one of you for giving me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the Vehicle Visionary YouTube channel so you can see future videos. And if you enjoyed this video, take a look at the video that's on the screen right now to learn about other vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, and I will see you there.